Okay, so everybody's asking me how this is my big brother, and the story's kind of crazy, so let me explain. So Marvin and I have the same mom, but different dads. So this is our mom with me in the late 90s. And here's a picture of my mom and Marvin, this little cutie pie down here. She was 19 years old in the late 60s. Marvin is the oldest, I'm the youngest. My whole life, I've always thought he was 30 years older than me, but he's literally 31 years older than me. So he was 31 when I was born. But despite the age gap, as you can see, they are literally two peas in a pod. Like Marvin, like it actually kind of... So everybody's asking me how this is my big brother. And the story's kind of crazy, so let me explain. So Marvin and I have the same mom, but different dads. So this is our mom with...
Okay, to preface this story, when I say mom and dad, I'm referring to my adopted parents because they're my mom and dad. So my mom and dad were like looking for a baby, trying to adopt because my mom couldn't have kids anymore. She was a little older and had some health issues. So my mom started going to this psychic, which is so random because my family's like very Christian. And basically this psychic like told her things about my brothers, my three brothers that my mom had from a previous marriage. Like one of them was going to have terrible financial issues, the other really bad health issues, and the other be a successful businessman. And flash forward to today, that all came true. Like it's all true. So anyway, the psychic told her to go to this random place in Washington, Pennsylvania. I'm from Morgantown, West Virginia. So it's like 45 minutes away from where I'm from. So my parents like rolled up, went to this random address that this psychic gave, and they walk into this like warehouse, and there was like it was like a meeting, and there's this big meeting where people were kind of like sharing their problems and like talking about their problems. So there were like 50 people in the meeting, and the lady running the meeting was like, hey, who wants to go first? So this white, like Italian, Polish woman raised her hand, and she was like, hey, so I'm white, I'm married to a white guy, I have 3 white kids, but I cheated on my husband with a black guy, and now I'm pregnant, and I'm gonna have this mixed baby, and my family's racist, I can't afford it, me and my husband can't afford it, so I wanna give the baby up for adoption, I don't know what to do. And then my mom and dad looked at each other, and they were like, holy shit, there's our baby, and it was me.
Wow, I was not expecting this at all. That's a crazy and beautiful story. If it's a thoughtful adoption, if you're actually thinking through and you have a plan, if you have a partner, a house, money, you know, all these things are important. I'm afraid to say that this is mandatory for you to have a kid. I know sometimes in some circumstances, some people don't have what it takes to have a kid, and that's why sometimes they give the kid away. And that's what happened with this family. I was not expecting this at all. I was not expecting her to tell us that she was adopted because a mom basically had an affair with another guy, and then the family is racist. I think that's really mean and poor a little bit. I mean, how can you not welcome a baby because you're racist? I do get the fact that a mom had an affair with this guy, which was a dark-skinned person, and she was a Caucasian person, and then they were going to have a mixed-race baby. But a family shouldn't be concerned about these things. It's a blessing, it's a baby. I do understand in that situation it was a bit different because it wasn't fair. Although a baby is just a baby, and you shouldn't be penalising a baby just because of his colour. And I do think this family, whatever they've been doing, it's amazing. I mean, and they're adopting kids, and they're not looking at the way they look, if they have any disability, what their ethnicity. I mean, it's just a baby, and I'm happy that this kid actually had a home to grow up in.
So this is how I told my biological father that I was his daughter, even though he had no idea I exist. So I ended up finding him on white pages, and I typed in his name because I knew his name, and all these different names popped up, and the one I clicked on, for some reason, I was like, this is him, this is it, 100%. I paid like 99 cents to get access to have his phone number. So I texted him and I said, hi, is this Kenny Morgan? And he literally responds, who's asking? And I was like, oh God. And I told him that I was born on August 31st, 1996. I had been put up for adoption by my birth mother, and I shared her name. And then I went ahead and I sent a picture of her and I from like a couple years ago at that point, when I was like, I think 20 years old. And then he responds to me and he goes, yes, that is my birth mother's name. And yes, I am that Kenny Morgan. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. I finally found my biological father. And he said, this is a lot to process right now, but I would love to hop on a FaceTime call with you in the next week or so. And I totally understood and respecting that. But what he told me on the FaceTime call was insanely shocking.
Yeah, finding out that you had a kid that you didn't even knew about can be quite mind-blowing, as she says. And I think it's really good that she respected his time, that she allowed him to process everything, because sometimes when you're trying to rush things, you're just gonna lose them. And then this way, she actually got in touch with him. She was really polite. She just really excited about it as well. And then he actually ended up answering.
Okay, so I hop on FaceTime with my biological father after telling him that I was his biological daughter. And the call's going great. He's amazing. His now wife was also there. She's incredible as well. But then he told me something that just really shocked me. He said that the reason he was so confused and taken back whenever I reached out to him to tell him that I was his biological daughter was because whenever I was born, him and my birth mother's mutual friend told him that my birth mom had the baby, but that I was a boy. So at that point, I was 23. So for 23 years, he thought that he had a son out there, but he just had no idea, where I was or who adopted me or anything. But he, this whole time, thought I was a boy. So he said when I reached out to him, he was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I'm not supposed to have another daughter out there. It's supposed to be a son. But, after I think he had time to process it, I think he was happy that I'm a girl, I guess. I don't know. But I'm just so grateful for the relationship that I do have with him. That was just something very shocking to me.
Okay. So this FaceTime call with the biological dad, it actually didn't go the way she thought she would be. I mean, it was a bit funny, him thinking that he had a boy instead of a girl. But the worst thing about it is, if you think about it, is this dad might have thought he had a boy and a girl out there, so he might have thought he had 2 kids that he didn't know about. That's actually crazy, and I do understand why he was a bit panicking and thinking about it and let me just think about this. But I find it so nice that she seems to have an amazing life and experience with a mom and her siblings, but somehow she had this feeling of needing to meet a biological dad. And this was just a happy story because at the end she can reach him out and they probably can create a relationship with him. I don't know, there's something you have to see along the years. I mean, if that would happen to you, what would you do? Would you want to contact your parents, your biological parents, even though you had an amazing life with your adoptive parents and siblings? Do you feel like this life change is something that would disturb you? Would you be willing to talk with your biological parents? Let us know what you think. And I'm sure there's many people with these stories.
Thanks for watching StoryTrender. Don't forget to like and follow.